أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. So moving towards the end, today we are going to discuss about bioremediation, the second last lecture. We have almost completed the course, just few small topics left. And today we are going to talk about the bioremediation. What is bioremediation? It could be a part of industrial biotechnology or environmental biotechnology, both. So it belongs to both of the genre. The explosive rise of global population has led to the increased exploitation of natural sources, and sources respond to the high demands of the population for food, for energy, and all other requirements. Industrial revolution was a response to these requirements. However, it had resulted in the production of huge number of organic and inorganic chemicals that have difficulty that have directly and indirectly led to the prolonged pollution of habitats. Means they are these chemical, organic and inorganic nature molecules. They are a cause of pollution or cause of polluting our habitats. And the duration of contaminant is regarded because they are very difficult to biodegrade. The trend of environmental pollution is so fast and so vast that the detectable rates of contamination are even encountered in the farthest oceans and seas. And the water of those oceans and seas are even not safe because this contamination spreads like everything. Now, how can we reclaim, how can we get rid of this pollution? So we use different biological systems, either to reduce the contamination or to get rid of them completely. Biological system refers to microbes and plants. Mostly bioremediation is connected to plants. Mostly bioremediation is connected to microbes, but plants can also be a part of it. And when we say bioremediation, generally it represents microbial bioremediation, but technically you could include plants in this. When we use plants for this purpose, we call it phytoremediation. They have a natural tendency, natural capability to attenuate or to reduce the mass, the toxicity, and the volume of the pollutants without human interventions, of course. Conventional methods of remediation, how can you do it? You can dig up a trench and just do a landfill or cap and contain it, maintain it at the same side, and you have to isolate that place. So how do we get rid of the waste? The first one is land filling, which is very common. You just dig up some land and place the contaminants inside it and seal it with all the soil, all the clay, or contain it. More or less, they are the same thing, but there could be different ways of containment. But the problem in these both of these containment strategies is there a better approach? Are the products converted into harmless substances? No, the products are not converted into harmless substances. So when we do either containment or landfilling, in both of these cases, there are chances that some natural bioremediation would occur. Bacteria in the soil around, they will swim towards these contaminants and they'll start degrading it. But if not, these contaminants, even contained, will still be a threat because they're not converted into harmless substances. So how to get rid of the waste then? Destroy them completely if we can. Well, this is possible, but there are, of course, a lot of risks connected to it. The best way is to transform them into harmless substances. But how can we do this? The process of transforming these contaminants, these pollutants into harmless substances itself, either it is a harmless process or not. Some common methods that are used to get rid of the waste conventionally are high temperature incineration and chemical decomposition like dechlorination. But are they effective? Well, this is another question. If they are completely doing this or this, we are not more concerned about this or interested. We're not more interested in this, but we are more interested in this because we want the pollutants to be transformed into harmless substances. So the question is, are they effective? The answer is yes. And there is a but associated with it to some extent, which means they are effective, but we are not happy about them because they affect only to some extent, not to a greater extent. So there are some drawbacks of bioremediation. You need complex technology, sophisticated technology, and it's of course costly. So you have to have a good amount of money. There's a lot of expenditure to be used on these applications, and this is expensive. Public acceptance. Not everyone is happy with incineration. Not happy. I mean, with these techniques. Okay, these are the drawbacks, not of the bioremediation, but these are the drawbacks of conventional methods of bioremediation. Sorry for that. The drawbacks are not everybody is happy with incineration. The methods require technological complexity and they're expensive. Then why are people against incineration? Because it generates toxic compounds. I'm also against incineration, and the material released from incineration that deplete the ozone layer, and the depletion of ozone layer is already not good for our environment. Some of the particles can fall back on Earth and pollute other environment if they are swept away through lands and some carriers, and a few more, because I mean there are a number more drawbacks. For example, they increase exposure of contaminants both to the workers and nearby residents, because all these processes have to be done by people, manpower, and when they are involved, they are directly exposed to the contaminants and to the localities, housing colonies, villages, cities, residential areas, where or near to where this all work is done. Bioremediation is actually the more effective and the more environment friendly approach. The harmless approach using natural biological activity. And bioremediation, as I told you in the beginning, you can do it either through use of microorganisms or the use of plants, but on a larger scale, we go with the use of plants. The term bioremediation has been made of two parts. Bios means life and refers to the living organisms, as you can see here, microorganisms, fungi, bacteria mostly, and plants, higher eukaryotes, they are living organisms. So bios means life, which refers to the living organisms, and to remediate means to solve a problem. Bioremediate would mean to use biological organisms to solve an environmental problem, such as contaminated soils or contaminated groundwaters. Bioremediation is the use, so hence we can define bioremediation as it is the use of living organisms to degrade environmental pollutants or to prevent pollutions. In other words, it is a technology used, exploited for the removal of pollutants from environment, and with the goal of restoring original natural surroundings and preventing it from future pollution incidents. As I discussed this earlier, it means bio means life, decomposition in general, it's biomediated decomposition of paper, paint, textile, hydrocarbons, and other pollutants. It's a superior technique over using chemicals because we use microorganisms. They are natural, they're environment friendly, and they're easy to handle. Well, yes, they are easy to handle because in this case we are not working with pathogenic microorganisms, and plants, very easy to grow, harmless plants. Bioremediation is limited to those compounds that are biodegradable. So biodegradation is the initial step when we are doing bioremediation. Not all compounds are susceptible to rapid and complete degradation. There are some concerns that products of biodegradation may be more persistent or toxic than the parent compounds. Biological processes are often very specific, and important side factors are required for successful bioremediation, which includes the presence of metabolically capable microbial populations, suitable environmental growth conditions, appropriate level of nutrients and contaminants. It is difficult to extrapolate from bench and pilot scale studies to full scale operation. We need to do more research to develop and to engineer bioremediation technologies to develop super strains of microbes so that they can do bioremediation in a more effective way. And we should look for appropriate sites with complex mixture of contaminants that are not evenly dispersed in the environment, and the environment is equally favorable for the thriving conditions of these bioorganisms, either plants or microbes.